everybody, welcome back. It is the beginning of a new month, which means it is time for my November wrap-up. The month of November was actually a very good reading month for me. I read a total of 11 books, 6 of which were graphic novels, and I only DNF'd 2 books. So the first book I DNF'd was one of a newer and popular book here on BookTube, and that was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I DNF'd this one for content purposes. I didn't get too far into the book. So for content purposes, it was the language. There was like a little prologue at the beginning which mentions that all of the profanity had been edited out with the little black marks. So I thought, okay, that's not bad. I'll go with that. But if you have like a black mark and then an ing at the end, I kind of could figure out what that word was. And your brain does have a tendency to fill in blanks when reading sentences. So my brain was still filling in all of those curse words as I was reading the book, and there was actually quite a bit of it. So I don't know if all of the little black marks were, in fact, swear words getting marked out, but when I was flipping through the book, there was a lot of blanked out words as to blank out the curse words. So there was actually quite a bit of language in the book, which was the purpose I DNF'd it personally. Again, as a disclaimer with any books I DNF for content purposes, these are my content views, these are my personal convictions about content. So for Illuminae, this was my personal content DNFing. It does not mean that this was a bad book. In fact, I'm still hearing very good things about how it was written and the storyline in general. The second book I DNF'd was the Once Upon a Time Red's Untold Tales by Wendy Tolliver. It was painful. It was just like not even in the first sentence, and I was already so irritated with both Granny and Red, which is sad because I thoroughly enjoy Red from the show. But this was like 13-year-old Red, and I hated her. Like from the first 4 pages in, the writing was so lame and so childish. And then I flipped ahead to see if the story got better or better written, and it didn't. Like, just any of the pages that I read was just so lame and so, like, childishly written that I was like, no, I have no patience for this right now. So I DNF'd that book for my lack of patience for that writing style at the moment. So those were the 2 books that I DNF'd for the month, which was pretty good for the amount of books I DNF'd. And so now I'll just tell you all the books I did read and enjoy. So I finished off the last 3 books of the Percy Jackson series. So I finished off Titan's Curse, Battle Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. I listened to The Last Olympian on Hoopla on my app on my phone because my bus ride is super long, so this was a good way to keep me busy on the bus, and it was thoroughly enjoyable as an audiobook. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed this series overall. Actually, it was a great adventure. I love watching people go on quests and try to figure things out, and I didn't mind the ending. That was actually a really decent ending. I really liked it, and it wrapped up really good. So the series is finished, but I will continue with the rest of Rick Riordan's books because I enjoyed them, and I think most of them are actually available on Hoopla and Overdrive, which is excellent for those long annoying bus rides. So for Titan's Curse, Battle Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian, I gave them all 5 stars. I think the majority of this series got 5 stars. I would have to say that the Battle of the Labyrinth and The Last Olympian were actually my favorite out of the series, I think. They just kept getting better and better for me. It'd be actually hard for me to choose a favorite out of the series, as I enjoyed the first book. I didn't mind Sea of Monsters, but the rest of them were there's just a really good series overall. The next 6 books I read are all from the same graphic novel series, and that is the Amulet series by Kazuo Kibushiki. So I read Amulet Volume 1, The Stonekeeper, Amulet Volume 2, The Stonekeeper's Curse, Amulet Volume 3, The Cloud Searchers, Amulet Volume 4, The Last Council, Amulet Volume 5, The Prince of the Elves, and Amulet Volume 6, Escape from Lucian. These are all the books that are currently published in the series. There is a 7th book coming out in 2016, which I am looking forward to. This series surprised me. My older sister had brought it home when I was kind of just out of high school, and I had flipped through it, but I wasn't interested in it, and then I picked it up out of my library just to give it a shot, and it was awesome. This is a fantastic adventure. I absolutely love it. It's got robots, pilots, elves, evil stones, and just all-around adventures, becoming the hero. It is a middle grade graphic novel series, and with most middle grade books, kind of like the Percy Jackson, those kind of age group books, I can kind of predict what is going to happen, but with this one, I have no idea what's happening. Even, especially for graphic novels, I have this way of kind of predicting and visualizing what's going to happen, and for these ones I couldn't. Things are happening that I didn't see coming, and I loved it. It was so good. So if you like high fantasy adventures, kids adventures, quests, and saving the world type things, I highly recommend it. It's got a medieval-esque look and feel to it with robots, magic, as well as like traditional stonish magic. I gave 5-star ratings to all 6 books, and I am looking extremely forward to book 7. The next book I read was The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest by Melanie Dickerson. I mentioned in my Thanksgiving video that Melanie Dickerson is my go-to fluffy reads author. I love a good medieval romance. However, in that time period that I enjoy, I find a lot of the books for that time period are pretty sketchy. Melanie Dickerson, on the other hand, writes clean fairy tale retellings in the medieval settings that I enjoy. And so The Princess of Thornbeck Forest is a kind of a Robin, it has a slight Robin Hood retelling to it, but it is actually mainly a Princess Swan Lake retelling, and I really liked it. I wasn't exactly too sure how she would incorporate the Swan Lake retelling into this book, but she did it extremely well. I really liked how she did incorporate some of the elements from the original story into her retelling. However, I found that there was a couple of plot holes when we were trying to figure out some of the things that were happening in the book. There was one aspect of it that was just kind of assumed, and then it wrapped up really nice without kind of, you know, forgetting point A and point C without filling in point B here. So there was a couple like plot lines, plot moments kind of missing that could have filled in a little bit of those gaps. Just a little bit more information would have filled that in. But the characters were nice. The characters were good medieval romancy type characters. So you had the noble love interest, you had a strong female character that was both beautiful yet could probably kill you with an arrow better than most men could. I enjoy that a lot about Melanie Dickerson's books, is that you have the strong female character, so you don't get that damsel in distress, but you also get a girl that is still a strong female character, so she's still able to be rescued by the handsome prince or whoever it be. So aside from the missing little plot points, I enjoyed it. It was a good read. It was a quick, fluffy read for me, and I gave it a 4-star rating. The next book I read was Black Widow Forever Read by Margaret Stohl. This is a novel form of a Black Widow story from the Marvel Universe, and it was good. It wasn't fantastic, it didn't blow my mind, but I enjoyed it. It was a great spy story, it had some decent characters. I might post a actual book chat about this book, talking more about what I liked about it, but overall it was a decent read. I gave it like a 3.5 star rating on Goodreads. It's had some things missing for me, and the book format itself had some typos and actual editing problems, which kind of bothered me. There's some grammatical errors, so I just tried to ignore it and keep reading. The characters are great. Black Widow was awesome. Alex and Ava were some great characters intermixed in there. I felt like, again, same with Princess of Thornbeck Forest, there's some plotline development missing in there. It was kind of a too quick of a wrap-up story. But overall, it was a fun, adventurous read, and if you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or any of the new kind of Marvel Now universe comic books that are coming out, I would still recommend Forever Read. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'm very excited. We are heading into the Christmas season. So get ready for some Christmassy themed videos. There will be lots of them because I am a Christmas fanatic. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.